Begin tonight with political analyst Anushay, Hossain, and Lauren Wright, Associate Research Scholar, lecturer at Princeton University. Ladies, nice to have both of you. Welcome. Start with you. I think reasonable people can agree that this report is a big problem for the president. How does he fix it?
I think that's a really important question, but I think with the Dems, we are really, crunched for time here. I think that the president needs to make a clear contrast between what the Democrats are going to do for abortion and what Trump is going to do. We need to focus back on the fact that American women's health is on the ballot in 2024. Is Donald Trump old? Is Biden old? It's not about age. It's about women's health and bodily autonomy. I think we need to go back.
Look, abortion has worked. You and I have talked about this in a number of different states. Yep. Where think about Ohio and the like. I almost think from just a purely political standpoint, if you look at the polling, Lauren, that probably an indictment politically for Joe Biden on mishandling classified documents may have been better than what this report said.
Politically, maybe. And the real risk is Trump will now seize on this and make fun of Biden. I bet it's even going to get into the picture of the lamps and the boxes and the mess and look what a mess he has. And I don't have a mess like that. It looked beautiful. It was so nice. Anyway, I don't do a Trump impression, so I'll put that aside.
Thank you.
I do think, you're welcome. I do think that focusing on the age issue for Republicans is not the best strategy because they're taking away attention from the policies. I don't know a voter or a population that I'm trying to think of that would say, okay, Joe Biden's old, so now I'm going to vote for Donald Trump, who's almost as old. There are voters who will say Biden has wrecked the economy and done this illegal immigration crisis badly and all these other things, so I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. I don't know if age is decisive in the way Republicans hope it will be.
You brought up women's health, which I think has obviously been a big issue and a big winner for Democrats. But then I think about progressives, which I think you count yourself as one of. And you think about where President Biden hasn't delivered on the George Floyd Policing Act, hasn't delivered on student debt forgiveness, hasn't delivered on Palestine, on supporting the Palestinians in Gaza and cracking down on Israel. And in polling, he might lose to Donald Trump. I think we can agree right now it's a coin flip. Why are progressives especially not trying to replace him with somebody who you all feel has a better chance?
I think that conversation is really a waste of everyone's time. No one is going to replace Joe Biden right now. He is the candidate. What's really important, though, about women's health is that 65,000 rape victims in the world's richest democracy, which is America, were not able to get life-saving abortions since Dobbs has been overturned. So not only do we need to focus back onto women's health, it's not just an abortion issue. It's between a complete abortion ban and bodily autonomy. So it's important people understand that women in America are fighting for more than just the right to an abortion.
Lauren, get us back to the age issue and how, for President Biden, the obvious way to solve this, right, is to go give a couple of big interviews to even skeptical journalists, a couple press conferences, something like that. And he goes, look, yeah, I was tired on October 9th and October 10th, but here I am, I can do it. We had Bill O'Reilly on the program on Monday who spoke about that issue. Take a listen.
Sure.
But Joe Biden's handlers, including his wife, who is growing in influence, Joe Biden, they don't know what he's going to say from hour to hour. They cannot put him out there because if a tough question is lodged, nobody knows whether Biden is capable of answering it without blowing himself up.
How much of the age issue is baked in for Joe Biden? Is there a YOLO point to this? At some point, it may not be anything that they have to lose by putting him out.
Well, that's true. That's sort of like a floor effect in statistics when things can't get worse. That's exactly what that is. But the ironic part of this is it would be extraordinary for Trump to have a general election debate with Joe Biden where he's sharper and he's kind of good in this entertainment environment. Ironically, Biden will use the excuse that Trump skipped debates, so I don't have to do this.
Yep.
And
we already heard him sort of say something like that.
Yes. And so we might not even get a general election debate because this is a weakness of Biden's. But I do think it's baked in. I think it's baked in for both of them. I don't think it changes much.
All right, ladies, thank you very much. Great to see you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Always. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below
to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.